Peace, 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 peace to the garden. Peace to the garden. Welcome to Conversation with Kings, KWK for short. I am your host, King. Real name, you can Google it up, mildly. But they call me King on this show. Friends in Brooklyn call me Mo Cheddar. Friends in college used to call me Mahogany. Call me Baba. We are in the city. But right now, my name is King, and welcome to Conversation with King. And please get everybody into the garden. Shout out to all my rocks, the men who hold it strong, hold it down. And shout out to all the ladies, the flowers who keep us balanced. And I appreciate you. Please get in the room. This is going to be an amazing show today. Hopefully we can talk about what we could talk about. Shout out to Chris, the biggest rock of them all. Shout out to Little Boy Lenski. Little Boy Lenski is the captain of the ship. Also shout out to TB Trucking. Thank you for always being consistent, showing me love. I'm just happy you're here. Shout out to Queen Nita, first woman always here, and I appreciate you for that. Also, shout out to the real Femme Sapien Alley. We appreciate you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for everything. To all the truckers, salute. We have 5 right now. Hopefully, we get people in. It's gonna be a dope show, a good show, a real show about men and the issues that we have in relationships because of the relationships we share with our mothers, whether they were there or absent. So it's going to be a good show. Make sure you get people in the room. While we wait for people to get in the room, like 20, 30, whatever, we're going to talk about recently what's been happening in New York City. For those who don't know, there's been a lot of young rappers being killed today. So please, I beg of you, do not allow our young people to go led astray. They're promoting this gangster rap, this gangster culture, and it leads to jail and it leads to death. It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. People killing each other. One young man by the name of T. Wu was actually killed probably less than 24 hours ago, or a little bit more, in front of his mom's house in Canarsie, which we call Flossie. And he was killed allegedly in retaliation from another young man who was killed hours before him, Nas Blicky. So those who don't know, these are like the 2 warring small groups in Brooklyn. So I'm just giving you some little political street politics called the Wolves and the Chos. Wolves and the Chos, and it's crazy because they're killing each other. They just, for no reason, no money, no block, they just kill each other, and I hope they could stop. I don't know if they could be unified, but I wish they could just stop killing each other. This young man literally signed a deal 4 hours before he got killed. I don't know if he's still alive. I love Boy Lenski. I know he got a headshot. I know he's in critical condition. If he is alive, I hope he pulls through. Shout out to April Carter, Grenadier Spice Queen. What's up? Shout out to Tiffany Daniels. I appreciate you. Please get people in the room. It's going to be a good show today, a fun show. I want people to come in, have fun, and I want the men to be honest. A lot of times, most of our toxicity comes from our mothers, and I'm going to explain why. I have a list of about 8 to 10 things that show the toxicity or the traits that you see in men who have mother issues. Mother issues is a real thing. Mommy issues is a real thing. I had a lot of women tell me I have mommy issues, but I actually love my moms. Gloria, that's her name. I actually really do love Gloria. I'm Gloria's warrior, right? So I don't know if I have mother issues, but sometimes mother issue is not you hating your mother, but you being too attached to your mother that actually disturbs or messes up a relationship. So, we want to have this real conversation. Shout out to Uncut with Daryl Long. Shout out my man. What's good? Who else? We shouting out? We just want to get people in the room right now. And I hope, like I said, we all have love here. So if there's other shows that you want to go and support, please go and support them because it's nothing but love over here. At least for me, it's nothing but love. I want them to blossom just as me. I had to push mine back just a little bit due to the fact that I had a personal issue with a friend of mine today. Speaking of that, mother issues, it's funny. This topic of the show is don't blame me for my toxicity, blame my mother. But today, one of my best friend his mother passed away, so my condolences to him. Don't want to say his name because he's really like my real best friend, and I hope that he heals, and my prayer is for him. And so today is one of those days, so that's why I had to start a little bit late, and it might end early due to the fact that I wanted to make sure everything is cool. So with that being said, and also TB, I want you to come up here because mother issues. People have died issues because of the absence of their fathers. But it's we learn how to treat women through our mothers, right? And we know how to judge women through the metrics that our mothers created. So we want to make sure that we talk about that today. But before we do that, you know what I gotta do. And I got my new pack today. Unfortunately, I don't feel like getting up and bringing it. Hope you can't hear anything. I'm doing laundry. If you hear anything, let me know. And I try to shut it down. But I'm a single man. I gotta do my laundry. The cleaning lady doesn't do that. I gotta talk to her about that. With that being said, shout out to all those who are trying to quit smoking, who want to just have their aesthetics looking like they smoke. Please go and support the ripplecode.com. Please use my discount, the Ripple King, for 50% discount. It's actually some of the best flavor. They actually have a new flavor called Peace coming out. I just got it today in the mail. I want to show y'all, but maybe I'll share it on the end. But it's a dope flavor, a new flavor. No nicotine, and it's plant-based. So please go and support that because they supported me from the jump. Next, please go and get my book, Love and Life Through the Eyes of Travel, which is the Bible of relationships, the Rosetta Stone of romance. And this is a book that I think everybody should get. Everybody, please. It's very short and condensed, but the affirmations that you get from this book could possibly save your relationship and how you view and your perspective on love and romance. It's for those who still are hopeful romantics. I am a hopeful romantic, and I will never stop being one. Even though I know there's a difference between romance and love and marriage, but I am a hopeful romantic. Also, go get my brother's book, Love, by Willie Dean. I need to get I'm bugging out because I don't have a physical copy. But everybody around me has it, so I need to get it. And I apologize to my brother because he always shows support for me. I don't have any kids, so I feel like, oh man. But you know what? He doesn't smoke. He still got the ripple. So I appreciate that. So I gotta be real. Real is real. With that being said, please go and support Willie Dean. His book is called Love. You can go and cop it, go and acquire it, go and buy it at Amazon. Please go and support him. Next up, if those who don't know, I have King's Court for exclusive content. I'm doing a birthday trip soon. Hopefully I get approved. But if I don't, it's life. But I'm going to start putting content. I'm going to keep on saying this. I'm saying this, but I got to do it. Remember, today is February 2nd, 2022. Wow, so many twos, right? But we're going to start working on our content and membership only content. So please join. I think I'm not enthused because I don't see a lot of members. If I had a lot of members, I'd be like, you know what? Let me put something out there exclusive. So please help motivate me, and I appreciate you. Last but not least, we have the Bonfire Store Conversation with King. Go and get the hoodies. Go and get the shirts. Go and get everything that's associated with Conversation Kings. It's going to be amazing. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for your support. And that was the sponsorship. Shout out to Aisha Smith. We love you. Shout out to Susie Q. We love you, Flower. Damn, everybody love Lover Boy Lenski. Lover Boy Lenski, you know what? I really want you to come. We gotta do something with you, man, because you got a really compelling story. But we gotta talk about that offline one of these days. Definitely one of these days. And we're gonna have a dating show for Love Boy Lansky because I'm curious how many girls he's dating from the garden. Not trying to blow his spot up, but man. Shout out to I hope I said your name, Miss Bianquita. Miss Bianquita. Yeah, shout out to Miss Bianquita. We appreciate you. April Carter, you know how we do. I shouted out before, but I'm going to do it again because you always show me love. We almost up there to 30. When we get 30, then we start jumping into the shout out to 123 Kid XL. What it do. A lot of times we got to shout out to Up Level Approach. Peace. She's so amazing. Such a radiant smile. And shout out to Terry. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We are going to show a lot of love. And like I said, listen, I'm a person that tells the truth about who I am and what I do. I don't fraud. I don't fake about being someone I'm not. I am a person that it's what I tell you what I am is who I am. And I want you to hold me accountable to who I say I am. And I also want you to make me better. But I don't want to ever be micromanaged, right? So, and I don't want to micromanage you. That's why I let people do what they do on my stage. Even though sometimes it goes all the way left, I don't feel the right to control what people do because you kind of stunt their growth. It kind of forces them to do certain things, you know. Yes, we should make can we make anything you want. We're gonna make her a moderator, but we want to make sure people are doing what the moderators do. Last night we got tagged, and I saw a few people like April Carter, Lloyd Boylansky, and Sherelle actually step up. You know, we want to make sure those who are ready when we get attacked by these bots again because, woo, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, we got attacked. So Aisha Smith, you are officially a moderator due to the fact that Lloyd Boylansky said he wants you down. And that's it. That's all it takes for me. He's a good dude. Let's show love to everybody that's in the room now. We got 23 people in the room, and I just want to say, listen, I love my mother, and I think most men, black men, white men, Asian men, Spanish men, whatever, Indian men, they love their mothers. Sometimes people have a relationship with their mothers that's not the most favorable, but at the end of the day, this is the woman that brought you to this earth. A lot of issues that we have with women is because a lot of issues that we have with women reflects the relationship we have with our mother. You know, a lot of times when you're going over here, watch how he treats his mother is the way he's going to treat you. We always say that. And that's not necessarily true because you got a lot of people that respect their mothers but don't respect women. And also, you got a lot of people that that don't respect their mothers for one reason or another, but they make sure they have a better relationship with their wives. I know many mothers that get jealous of their sons because they see their sons treat their wives better than them. I'm talking about like with materialism and just gifts and just time. So, you know, we want to be careful when we go down this rabbit hole. Cause this is a dope. Damn, this color looks good on me. I ain't gonna front. I look like I used to be like a '80s break dancer, but drug, you know what I mean? But anyway, at the end of the day, is we really gotta be careful on how we do things, and how we view people based on the relationships with their mothers. We understand mothers are the portal from the spiritual world to the earthly realm. We understand that mothers are our first teachers, our first lovers, our first guides, our first everything as a man. They're the closest thing to God, as Nas would say. With that being said, we want to be very, very, very careful when we go down this. And those who come up to speak, just know that we're not talking about your mother personally. If you want to give personal experiences, we appreciate it, but we want to keep it general and not disrespect anybody's mother and stuff like that. And we're not going to put blame on mothers, right? We're just going to identify the things that actually have men exhibiting toxic behavior within relationships. And I think that this is one of the greatest, probably one of the most thoughtful shows we might have, because a lot of people don't want to address the fact that a lot of men do have mommy issues. They really do. They really, 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 really do. Shout out to Love Boylansky. You're right. 1, 2, 3 kid. He has a very thankless job, but he holds the channel down for real. He holds other channels down too, but the way he holds my channel down, oh man, I'm forever grateful. You know what I mean? I appreciate that. I don't know. I do think that Love Boylansky has a pipeline of from channels to his bedroom, and that's why I think. I really do think that, but I'm not trying to blow your spot. I really do think that. But with that being said, let's talk about it. Let us talk about mommy issues and how it affects us. Do you realize that a lot of men secretly compare every woman to their mother, whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing, I don't know. But a lot of men secretly compare women in their lives to their mother. And if that woman doesn't meet up to the standards of their mother, or actually reminds them of their mother, it can cause issues. Like me, I love my mother, but I tend not to go for women that resemble her, because, you know, like I said, physically, I don't want any woman to look like my mother in a sexual way. So that's just my little quirk, right? But I would love for a woman to be as loving and as nurturing as my mother when she's at her best. I would love for that when she's at her best, right? And when she's at her best is when I'm in need. She puts away everything aside and she comes and saves me or helps me. But we want to. That's what I look at. I know some men that actually deal with women that that woman literally looks like their mother, acts like their mother. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just a serious issue that we really got to talk about. And up level approach, Cam, we are going to talk about maternal hurt causes issues in intimacy. We're definitely going to talk about that. And I think that kind of affected me too, because I love my mother, but I wasn't very affectionate in relationships when I first started in relationships. I actually learned that from the first Latin woman I dated, or the Latin woman that I encountered when I was in high school, in college. The Cape Verdean women too. I wasn't really. I can't say I wasn't really nurturing, because my mother never gave me hugs like that. She loved me to death. My mother talked, but she never gave me. She cared for me, but she never gave me hugs. So we weren't a family of public PDA, public display of affection. We weren't that type of family. So it took me a while to be affectionate. And even now, I'm all smooches and stuff, and I'm affectionate now, holding hands. But there's times where I become very standoffish. Because it's not something that was new, so it takes me a while to warm up to people. So I think men learn affection from their mothers, right? Giving hugs to their mothers, kisses to their mothers, and you know that's something I look at too for women in my life when I do it. I want to see if they're affectionate, so because I don't want my sons not to know how to learn affection later on in their life with women. That's something I really don't want my son to go through, because I feel like I missed a lot of I think there's a chasm between me as a child and a man, missing out on so many personal experiences of embracing, right? Where I wish I knew how to hug and knew how to hold hands. Even in my book, I talk about me learning how to hold hands with a woman in Paris, because I never knew about how affectionate holding hands could be. And that was in my I was either 29 or 30 when I did that. Could you imagine 30 not knowing how to really do that? So, mothers are very important. They teach men and their daughters affection. Shout out to Susie Q. My mother and father have been together for 40 plus. I would not treat my man the way she treated dad. I just didn't like the dynamic. It made me lose a tad bit of respect for her as a woman, not a mother. And that's the thing. My parents were together for 50 years. And, I never saw them affectionate, but they love each other. I'm talking about love each other. So it's not like kisses, but my mother would cook for my father, serve him. My father would brush her hair. So it'd be different types of affection, but it took me a while to learn my own style of showing affection physically, because I didn't get that as a young kid, and I didn't think that was manly, But then as I got older, it was the gangsters I used to see hug their mothers in my block, show women, be gentle to women. I didn't know you could be a man's man and still be gentle to a woman until I got older. And actually, a man's man is going to be super gentle to a woman, especially their daughters. And a lot of my friends learned how to be affectionate through their daughters. So it was something I had to learn. My Susie Q says, My mother did show a lot of affection in my relationship. I'm overly affectionate. My mother is very manipulating. I'm an open book, and I think he respects my loyalty. The selfishness I bring, his selflessness I bring. Well, let's get down to it. Topic of tonight is don't blame me for toxicity, blame my mother. So I was reading an article, and it talks about how men who do have mommy issues actually show certain traits. And these traits you have to look out for. Please, you have to look out for these traits. This is something that we have to really be mindful of when you're dating men that have mommy issues. And I see some of these traits in me. And like I said, I don't have mommy issues, but we weren't affectionate, right? My mother is God on earth to me. However, it wasn't any affection. And I had to learn that late. And I think that's more so a cultural thing. I don't think it's more so of my mother. It was just a coach from Ghana. Africans, you don't see too much affection, at least with my parents and my culture, Ghanaian culture. But then you have some that do, but for the most part. So the first thing they talk about is within men who have mommy issues, one of the things they talk about is the constant contact with their mother. That's problematic. That's extremely, extremely, extremely problematic. Why do I say that? I say that because we have men who would drop everything for their mother. As our mother's teachers did that. Like my mother tells me all the time, you can divorce your wife, but you could never divorce your mother. Now, to me, that sounds true. It is true. That means you can never replace your mother. You could never, your mother's everything. But, I had some women tell me, well, that's kind of manipulative because it's like she wants to be ahead of everything, ahead of us. And I'm like, yeah, that's my mother. She should be ahead of us. But if you read the Bible, once a man finds a wife and a family, then he has to leave certain things. And me personally, woman, if your man is in constant contact with his mother, he loves his mother to death, but also know his mother definitely has control over him. And you should hope that you are in good standings with her. Because if you're not in good standings with a man that constantly has communication with his mother, right? It could be problematic. It could be very problematic. Also shout out to little boy Lenski in regards to Caribbean parents. But it can be very problematic. I know men that would drop like scheduled dates just to go and see their mother, and the mother knows that. And I think that we as men, we need to be mindful. If we do have a wife, if we do have a lover, we have to be able to delegate enough time to our significant other. But it seems like a lot of times we have men who are dating a mother as well, right? They dating a mother, and I think it's two different types of love. And I think it's at some point you have to give your mother a space. But think about it: we're in a community where there's a lot of single mothers, and these people grow up making their sons their husbands. So when their sons find a suitable lover or wife, then that woman becomes literally, she goes back to being single. She was single before because she didn't have a man in the house, but now she's single now because the man she created is no longer going to be there. It's like mothers are preparing nowadays, are preparing men not to go out, are preparing men for women, but still want them to have the duty of being a man to them. Shout out to Glow Code Nikki. Thank you for bringing that wonderful guest yesterday, Heather. I appreciate you. She says, Genesis chapter 2:24, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and cleave unto his wife. This is a fact. So, if that was for those who believe in the Bible, you know what I mean? That's for those who believe in spirituality like that. And I agree with that. We at some point you have to leave, right? You can't be attached to your mother to the point that it affects your relationship with your lover. We don't want that. We definitely want that. Another thing they talked about is number 2, which is avoids anything that has to do with his mom. Now you have some men, unlike the first one, where he is constantly talking about his mother. He wants to be around his mother. He puts his mother before you every chance he gets. But this one, you have a one where he doesn't even mention his mother. So then you start to question, what's the relationship? Is your mother locked up? Is your mother dead? What is going on? But it's more so there's some type of hatred or despise. Now, we know that not every mother is a great mom. And I'm a firm believer, if you have someone in your life that is triggering to you, right, that doesn't make you feel at peace, right, then you should remove yourself. I think the Bible says that too. Find that glow code if you can. If your eyes cause you to sin, pluck it out. If your hands cause you to sin, cut it off. So if you have someone in your life that causes you or gives you certain feelings that that doesn't make you feel right, then you must remove yourself. You definitely must remove yourself. So we have people that don't want to have relationships with their mothers and don't talk about them. And you wonder what happened. And because you want to see how he treats how he treats the number one woman in his life. And so you want to be very mindful of that. Be very mindful of that. Please. What else? Like you got men that with sour relationships with their mother. That's something we have to be very mindful of. Because if a man doesn't have at least some decency in the way he treats his mother, then you can understand how he's going to treat you later on. Kinda, not 100%, but you want to find out why he doesn't see his mother the way he sees it. Because what I'm realizing now, a lot of my friends are telling me some of the abuse they went through with their moms. And it wasn't physical abuse, right? It was more so verbal and emotional abuse. Because of the absence of their father, they would feel a lot of hatred, a lot of animosity, a lot of blaming, right? So there's a lot of people, men, who are starting to realize they were verbally, emotionally abused by their mothers who loved them, right? But was feeling certain ways about their own personal life. So, and sometimes abuse is come in many forms, right? But you gotta make sure that you study a man's relationship with his mother. If not his mother, with other women in his life, right? Ask them how they treat them, right? Like if you ask any woman in my life that's really dear to me, they're gonna say, he's funny, he's crazy, he's honest, but sometimes he's intense, and then he goes away. Then I come back intense. And I'm a type of person, when I'm into you, and then when I'm not, so it's no fade in for me, right? And that's something, if you ask me in my life, they would tell you that. They would definitely tell you that. But Glowco has the scripture right now. Let me see. It says, Matthew 18:9. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out, and cast it from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life with one eye rather than having two eyes to be cast into hellfire. So I'm not trying to scare you no scriptures, nothing like that. We're not trying to do that. But what I'm saying is, I'm comparing that to people in your life. Even your mother. If your mother causes you to feel a certain way, you have to remove yourself. And some men have that type of relationship with their mothers. Does that mean they're not a good person to marry? I don't know. We're going to discuss that today. Shout out to Dante Henry. What's up, brother? I appreciate you. If you ever want to see how I'm going to look in the future, look at Dante Henry. Then you're going to realize, you know what? I should marry this man. I should marry King, because I want to look like Dante Henry when I get older. So remember that. Please. Cam up, Dante, if you get a chance, so they could know how I'm going to look when I get older. That's why I feel so confident. That's why. Listen, I feel confident. I'm going to look like that man when I get older. Coffee No Cream says, that's why I don't allow people. Hold on. That's why I don't allow people to say that I show my son too much love. My son is black. Ain't no such thing as too much love. He needs and deserves it all. And I pray when he's older, he expects it. Thank you. Thank you, Coffee No Cream. That was probably the best. I wish mothers would move like that. I wish every mother would move like that. That is I appreciate you, Coffee No Cream. Thank you. You know what I mean? I appreciate you. April, What April says, I'm all for parents' rules and boundaries, but I'm not parents being strict. Is the reason my kids, but I don't know. Okay, we're gonna talk about that later. Let's go to the third one. He's suspicious and he's insecure. A man with mommy issues most likely experiences trust issues. So if you're in a relationship with a man who has mommy issues, he doesn't trust you because he couldn't trust the first woman in his life. I was overly trusting with women because I had a good mother. You know what I mean? Even though, you know, certain times she was too busy working as a registered nurse in Kings County. And, you know, so things got, her time scheduling was off. However, and I had other siblings, but I'm extra trusting women because my mother was never a crook. My mother was never a thief. So I trusted women so much. And I think that affected me in relationships. But they're saying here that men who have mommy issues are suspicious and insecure. Those men are suspicious and extremely insecure. We want to be careful with that. We want to be extremely careful with men who have those issues. They get into relationships with women and they make women constantly try to prove themselves to them so they can see if they trust them or not. Shout out to Natalie, my Porter Princess. Shout out to you. And these men, you have to be careful. These are serious mommy issues. Because they don't have that type of relationship with their mother, they feel a woman needs to validate who she is in that person's, in that man's life. That's a big issue. That's a super big issue. Ladies, that's definitely a red flag when you have to go try to make up for the lack of relationship with a man because he didn't have that with his mother. You're asking for a lifelong journey of trying to prove that you belong there. And I don't think anybody should ever have to spend, you know, their whole life trying to prove to somebody why they're there. You know, I mean, of course you have your vetting stage and you have your stage where you got to show me who you are. But after that, you know, you're not responsible for your childhood traumas, another man's childhood traumas. You're not responsible, ladies. I don't think so. Shout out to Cammy Cam. What's going on? Another thing they talked about is number 4. He's disrespectful to women. So let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all think the red pill, people with the red pill, have mommy issues? I don't necessarily think so. But they said he is disrespectful to women. I mean, in every which way, where he thinks women are less than, right? And also the goal, he's disrespectful to women that don't live up to the standards of their mother. So this is how mothers add on to the toxicity of their sons and the men. You have mothers saying, if a lady doesn't look like me or act like me, she's less than. We have a lot of mothers moving like that. Look, there's a lot of mothers moving like that. And a lot of men tend to judge women based on how they must. So because your mother couldn't fit into a mini dress and you see a young lady with a skirt or a mini dress, so she's a whore because she doesn't act or look like your mother. And that's totally wrong. That's totally wrong. But we get that from our moms, right? Because your mother went to college or school and your lady that you love and you adore didn't go to school, you judge her. You know, that's not cool either. So we want to be very careful, extremely careful how we gauge other women based on our mothers. Just because someone doesn't dress, act, or behave like your mother doesn't mean she's less than. Doesn't mean that she's not a woman. And that's one of the things one of the toxic traits that we as men carry on from our relationships with our mothers. Right? It's serious. It's really bad to the point that, you know, at one point I believed when I was dating, you know, if you didn't, that's why I have this duality now. I can't bring certain women home to my mother because the woman I like don't really act like her or don't really dress like her. My mother's regal. When I say regal, she's regal. So, you know, the woman I like them to be free in nature. I like the Rihanna. Mother's Michelle Obama, but I like the Rihannas. I like the women who are free with their sexuality. You know, the women who are not afraid to walk on an edge a little bit. And growing up, it was taboo for me to deal with women like that. And maybe that's why I have this strong lust for women like that, this strong admiration for women like that. So it's just crazy. Hold on, Coffee No Cream says, he said, no, that's not wrong, King. A lady has to look like a lady, meaning modest and womanly, not like a harlot. But let's talk about that. What does that mean, Coffee? I wish you could cam up one time. Like, what does that mean? Moderately and ladylike. What does that mean? You feel me? We have different dress codes now, right? Just because a woman, I know women who dress up from they're covered from the ankles all the way to their forehead, and they're the biggest sluts. And I think that people hide behind their outward personality, and there's no secrets in this world. Eventually it comes out. And maybe you might not be persecuted for it, but it eventually comes out. Also, shout out to Terry for saying, I can't necessarily agree with the topic if a man are a certain age. Imagine 66 years old age blaming his mother. And well, you know what? There are men like that, and there are women like that too. You have people that still are suffering from trauma. Even though you live a functional life, we have functional drug addicts. We have functional people that have emotional issues, but they still have these deep-rooted issues. So I don't think it's an age limit. I don't think, maybe it's not going to stop them from functioning, but it's definitely affecting them inside. Stephanie Gardner says, this is an opinion that women perpetrate to hate on other women. What opinion is that, Stephanie? Please let me know. As we wait for Stephanie, we also are going to move to the next one. He's a cheater. They say men who have mommy issues are cheaters. The reason why they are cheaters is because they have, whether their mother left them in their lives, didn't show them affection, so they're constantly looking for validation from women. I'm not gonna lie to you. My mother has always been there. My parents always been there, and I love women. But when I learned how affection made me feel so good, I do look for that in women. I really do look for affection through women, and a lot of women don't give it to me because they think I get it all the time. And sometimes I do push back a little bit because I wasn't used to it. But I crave affection from women. I crave attention from women because maybe I didn't get that as much because my mother was always working. You feel me? Always working and making sure she attended to her family and her husband and my other siblings. But that is a big thing. That is definitely a big thing. Men that cheat, I'm not saying it's an excuse, but men that cheat, they have an underlying issue with them. They have insecurities you won't imagine. Men who decide to be married and have a girlfriend and still want to lie to them to be with someone else, that's an issue. That's problematic because I'm really tough, right? So I would never lie to the person that I love. And I think men learn that with the relationships with their mothers, right? You show love to your mother, you treat her with respect, but then when you're outside, you treat women differently. So you're kind of like you start to live a double life. You learn how to live a double life with your mother because then when you replace your mother with your wife, you show her the love and the respect, but then you outside being who you really are. So I think we as men who have mother issues learn how to have or build or create this duality. A duality that leads to infidelity within our romantic relationships. So that's something we want to focus on and deal with too. What else? And pardon me today, like I said, one of my best friend mother died today. So if I'm a little bit off, is you understand why. So that's just basically it. You know what I mean? You don't know what to say to somebody at all. Like it's really hard, but bear with me. So if this ends early, you know why. Number 6, he always thinks you will hurt him. I can definitely agree with that. I've seen men who had mothers and they who have mothers that weren't the best mothers, and they believe every woman's out to hurt them. Every woman's out to lie. Every woman's out to cheat them out of something. Every woman is manipulative. And then we have mothers that teach us that all women are manipulative. I haven't met a mother yet that doesn't tell their sons, be careful, women are manipulative. They don't say some, they say women are manipulative. And it's sad. You feel me? We learn about how wicked women are through our mothers. So if your mother, who's a woman, is telling you don't trust women, do you understand how that makes us feel when we go into relationships or loving relationships? Don't trust any woman but me because I'm your mother. I'm never going to leave you. You got to think about what type of seed a mother is planting into her son when she says that. It's like one of those things that we got to be mindful of when we have children. Or when ladies have children, what type of messaging are you saying to your child when you say, hey, you know what? Don't trust these women out here. They're only going to want you for your money. Only trust me, I'm your mother. You're setting your son up for failure. You're setting your son up for failure, I'm telling you. You're setting your son up for failure, and it's not cool. And I don't know what the correct messaging behind that. Maybe mothers are trying to protect their sons from the women out here who are just having fun, but it's still, to me, problematic. And we need to find ways to create these messaging. And I think the reason why we try to protect their sons by saying women are manipulative, be careful, is because we as a community don't have a vetting process. So you don't know who your son is going to date. Because back in the days, you knew who your sons were going to marry, who your daughter's going to marry, you knew who you're going to be around. But now we live in a world of globalization where your son could leave the house and marry someone in Russia, marry someone in India. You don't know. So you try to prepare him. I say, be careful, don't trust women. Not realizing you set up your child for failure because he's going into the relationship with toxicity, a negative mindset, and pessimism. Hold on, Coffee No Cream says, I'm a woman. I tell my nephews and son that women can be beautiful and great, but we're the best at any game. So stay on your toes and always consult with God to vet your wife. This is what I'm saying. Is that a message of protection, or is that a message of that's going to instill fear and them fully being truly in love or engaged in a relationship, right? What type of messaging is that? We have to really think about that. Number seven, he feels entitled. He grew up being the apple of his mom's eye and gets the royal treatment every time. We all have men I know women date men who have been spoiled by their mother. And you start seeing that he's a mama's boy. He's used to his mom washing his clothes or cooking for him. And you like this man, but you don't want to be his slave like his mother. You feel like his mother was. And I think that's an issue for a lot of women. It's kind of similar to what we discussed before. When someone has a great father, it's hard to find a man that's going to match up to that. I also think when someone has a great mother who is always there for the child in a nurturing way, it's hard to find a woman to replace that. And it seems like women don't want to be your second mother. And in actuality, that's what you are if you're his wife, in my opinion. I remember I was in Costa Rica and I met this black doctor randomly. We were both in a French boutique style hotel in Costa Rica. And, random black man walked up to me. I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to talk to him. I came here to be by myself. And then he said, he lost his mother, but thank God he found his wife. And he was telling me, this was years ago, he said, you got to find your second mother. And I'm like, I got to find my second mother. I don't want my second mother. He said, you have to, because you need someone that's going to love you equally and treat you like her. But nowadays we have men who can't find a good woman because there's no one that matches up to their mother. And these women don't want to step up to the plate to be like their mother. They could care less. They could really care less. So, we just want to keep that in mind. That feeling of entitlement because your mother treats you so good and you expect a woman to move the same way. And maybe you can find a woman that does that. And maybe you should, but a lot of women are not jacking that. They're going to say, I don't want to be a slave. I don't want to be a maid. Get that from your mother. But that's what men look for, to be honest with you. Like me, I don't want anybody that looks like my mom, but I definitely want someone who catered to my father like my mother catered to my father. I want them to cater to me like that. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm talking about cater to me. You want this? Oh, I made an appointment for this. I made an appointment for this. Or everything is cooked. That's what I need. And by knowing that, I know I needed to provide my lady with a certain lifestyle. And I'm ready now. That's why, because I know I want that treatment. I want to be catered to. That's it. Katie, y'all like Beyonce, but y'all don't listen to her songs. Catered to You was a song. I know it was. Trust me. Number 8, he would do everything his mother says. I think we talked about that. That was number 1. But this one's a little bit different because, some people, when they leave their mother to be with another woman, they have this self-conscious attitude when their moms is not around. So their mother rules. Their mother is the ruler. No matter what she says, right or wrong, they're going to follow their mother. And you got to understand, that's our mother. That's our mother. So, but it's tough because when you have a wife or someone you're planning to marry, you want to let them know that you're the new queen in my life. However, I don't think any man is going to stop showing their mother first. I don't know. Maybe we all mama boys. I don't know, but I don't think if my mother asked me to do something before my lady, I'm going to do it for my moms. Now, if she's not around, I'm going to cater to my wife. But if she was standing next to my lady and she asked me to do something, I'm doing it. And that's just me. That's just me. Somebody said, Cammy, good question. What was the question? Oh, Terry says, as women can't find a man that treats them like their daddy. Is that a question? As women can't find a man that treats them like their daddy. Okay. Yeah, we talked about that a long time ago. I think women look for someone that could treat them as good as their daddy, as their father. And it's extremely hard. Coffee No Cream says, I love to watch a man treat his mother and daughters well. It's very attractive. It is. It really is, but like I said, it's attractive until that takes away from your time and your relationship. Number 9, she's his favorite person in the world, and it's great to have a healthy relationship. She's his favorite person in the world. It's great to have a healthy relationship with your mom and, of course, your parents. But is your boyfriend's hold on, let me get it right. She is his favorite person in the whole wide world. And I think that deals with the fact that mothers tend to mess up relationships, romantic relationships, because that is their pride and joy. Their sons is their everything. I think I'm a little bit good now because, my father's still alive and well. He got better. But when mothers don't have somebody to live their life with and you're their son, that's definitely going to mess up the relationship. If you're the only, especially if you remind them of their husband, women are very territorial, very attached. And it's just something that I've seen with a lot of relationships where the wives and the mothers don't really get along. And when the son has traits that were created by the mother that affects the relationship. This is something that is, to me, is something that we have to be careful with. Stephanie Gardner, we're going to read a couple of more. I think I'm going to end it in, I want to do, this is probably the shortest clip because I really feel a certain way. My man's mom's not here talking about this, and I just found out. So let me read a couple of posts, and then we're gonna call it night. And I see you on Monday. Remember, I don't do Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays anymore. I really don't. I'm sorry. It goes, emotional incest is real. There are moms often single out there who do rely on their son to meet all their emotional needs that a husband would typically fulfill. We're very crippling situation. Yes, it really is. Not seeing that. And it's prevalent within the Black community because we have broken homes. It's very prevalent. Stephanie Gardner, she says, some men will treat their mother like queen and treat their wife like crap. I think this is because they have an unhealthy emotional attachment with their mother. Absolutely. We see this all the time. We see this all the time. At the end of the day, it's a very unhealthy attachment, but it's an attachment that you can empathize with. Why? You can empathize with it because at the end of the day, that's their mother. That's the one that gave birth to them. That's the one that took care of them. That's the one that taught them how to speak, how to eat, how to use the restroom. So if nothing else, they have their mother, right? But this is the thing. Why aren't the women noticing these traits? Why would a woman continue to be in a relationship with a man who's never going to treat her exclusively, right? Make sure that she's exclusive outside of the relationship of his mother, right? Why would you marry a man noticing that? I think being a man with mommy issues, whether good or bad, women should be able to notice that, right? And that's problematic to me. For some reason, you have this uncanny ability to want to try to change people. Men with mother issues are people that you need to tread lightly with and figure out why do they have these mother issues. Can you build a relationship with that person's mother? Is the mother being protective or being controlling? It's a big difference. Quantum Love says, that is why it's stated that man leave his parents' home and clings to his wife. This is a fact. Peace, Earth. That's what happens. Shout out to Burner Account. That's what the Bible says. That's what they say. But how do you leave someone who has a track record of being there for you for someone you just met, right? How do you do that, right? I think most mothers have this controlling factor where they want their son to marry a certain type of woman. And when they find that their son to find a woman that takes the attention that belongs to them or who they feel belongs to them, they out. They feel a certain way. But you're right. You're absolutely right, Quantum Love. Hopefully I do meet a woman that allows me to not forget about my mother, but allows me to not feel guilty that I'm experiencing a new love for a woman. Just as great, if not greater than the love that I have for my mother. Quantum Love also says it's a process that if the family follows that, it wouldn't be an issue when the time comes. What is that process? What is that process that a son has to go through so him and his wife won't suffer from the relationship that he had with his mother? Is it a vetting process? Does the wife or the girlfriend have to build a relationship? Burn account, I don't have mommy issues because I actually love my mom. But I think that we also talked about how you can love your moms and have an unhealthy attachment to your mother that actually messes up relationships. Also, you use your mom as a metrics to the type of woman you want to be with. Because the type of woman I want to marry, they act like my mom, but the woman that I actually date, they're not really my mom. They're the ones I really want to be with, having fun and all types of stuff. You feel me? And I actually date women. I actually like the ones that have children. They actually freaky with me, but I love the way they love their child. I love that duality. I really, really do love that duality. For the most part. Condom says, I think it would help to have the wife and the mother on the same page, because only an issue if the wife feels away. I don't think the wife. I don't think a woman comes into a man's life thinking they're going to try to usurp power from his mother. I think it comes into play when the mother says she doesn't like the woman, and the son wants to still be with her, and I think it becomes a serious issue. It becomes a serious issue. That's just me personally. Once again, having mommy issues and being toxic relationship is just a direct correlation between the relationship you have with your mother. And maybe I could trace back everything I did with women that weren't so good to the way I was raised or treated by my moms, without going too deep into it. But like I said, my need for affection. My mother was the greatest woman in the world. However, we weren't an affectionate family. So you can see that me being out here dealing with different women, want to be around different women, is that affection that I was lacking, or felt that I was lacking, and I didn't identify it, right? Also, the type of woman I deal with is totally different from the type of woman I would bring home, and that's because of my mother, how I use her as a matrix. So if you're not Christian-like, if my mother doesn't curse, she doesn't drink. So those are the women that, my heart goes to, but the women I actually get are not like that. So I do look at them a certain way sometimes, but I know I love those type of women, but because of my mom, it's like, damn, I can't bring that home. My mom's gonna feel away. Dante says, I apologize. I'm in and out. This is a topic that is very intimate with me from all sides. You got to have more time for this, because I would love to share. How much time you need? Because I'm kind of going through it, Dante, right now. But if you want to come up, I can stay for a few minutes. Let me know, because that thing is hitting me right now. And that's just basically it. Dante, the glow code is similar to women who have daddy issues. So they seek the affection they miss from their fathers. Yeah, it's similar, but the difference is I could go and sleep with mad women and not be socially ostracized or castrated. And as a woman who's looking for affection from men, you not only do you have daddy issues, now you're being labeled a whore. It's crazy. It's just crazy. It's just super crazy, at least to me. Shout out to Dante. I wonder why Dante. How does this affect you? Because I need to. Can he get up here? Somebody put the invite. Let me get up here. Let me give him at least a few minutes before I decide to go. If can he come up here? He say he can't come up here because I read different. I don't know. I read it different. He said 1, 2, 3 kid. What's up? See, Bernico is right. Mommy didn't pay me attention, so you look for it from other women. It's absolutely true. That's a fact. That's a fact. And it wasn't like she's ignoring me, but it's like she's busy. So other women, the attention from other women meant something to me. At that time, I think I outgrown it a little bit. Where is he at? Can we get him up here? Hopefully come here for a few minutes. If not, I totally understand. But I gotta end it in a minute from now. I'm sorry for the abrupt. At least I gave you an hour. I will see y'all on Monday. Monday's popping, and then also we got Tuesday Queen's Court, and then to Wednesday. Because I gotta live my life. It's about to be warm outside. Try to get everything intact, and it's been a good month for me. Shout out to YouTube and them checks. Not a lot, but it's definitely something. I'm grateful. I've been living a good life. Who else? If he can't come up right now, then we about to say, I love y'all. I hope y'all enjoy your Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays. Please keep me and my boy, especially, that's his mother. Keep him in a prayer. He's the most honorable person I know. I'm so happy that God put people like me around, like people like Will and my other brother. He said, "Bernie Scott was the King's Court scam." And it's not a scam. It's just me just trying to live this Playboy life and not having time to put it up. But I mess with you, Bernie. You make me laugh. But you know, just keep him in your prayers, his family in prayers, in your prayers, please. And other than that, I hope you have a good evening. Tell your mother you love. Oh, Dante Henry is here. Okay, brother. I thought I was going. Thank you, brother. Like I said, if you ever want to see how I'm gonna look at this man right here. That's how I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look handsome. That's it. So Dante, thank you. I was really about to go because my man, that thing is hurting me right now. But I appreciate you for coming up here and understand that how men who are titled with mommy issues or mother issues, how they are actually coming into a relationship and bringing toxicity, right? Based on the metric system that they gathered from the relationship from their mother. So I want you to just probably elaborate and let us know why did this hit home?
Well, one of the things that one of the reasons why I should say is kind of like intimate with me because I have the courage to say that I was the toxic one to a great degree in my own relationship. Especially when I met my wife, and even to some degree.
You were adopted?
Say it again.
So you were adopted?
No, I said what I said was that I was the toxic one to a great degree.
Sorry.
Because of some unresolved issues I had with the woman I knew as my mother. Yes, I was adopted.
Okay.
I was adopted. And the woman I knew as my mother, that relationship was, to say the least, wasn't the best, wasn't the greatest. And I had to do my own homework, right? And one of the roads, or one of the ways I kind of like got closer to some healing, I had to come to grips with certain things. And one of the things I had to come to grips with was it was partially my doing, and because I wasn't resolving a lot of the trauma from my past, being adopted and, dealing with neglect and, that whole thing, not just from my biological mother, but just women or people in my life that would leave.
Right.
Not understanding, where a lot of the things or a lot of issues in my own marriage was coming from. It would be something as simple as my wife was going away for a weekend. And I would be histrionic, and I would start an argument, on a sensitive topic. And it was really coming from, I didn't want her to go nowhere, even though it was innocent. We even talked about it. She let me know ahead of time. But it was tied to that. It was tied to that to a great degree. I mean, from neglect to colorism, even, growing up, I dealt with things, even as like a young teenager, where I was told that I couldn't be the person that everybody saw when they come into the house first. I couldn't be the first seen.
Right.
Because I was darker than my other siblings.
Okay. Wow. Whoa.
Word. I was told that.
See, I don't want to start, because you're going to have me start saying my stuff. You feel me? I don't want to talk about my stuff though, but go ahead, brother. Wow.
I mean, just, and when I say I was toxic, first I had to like come to grips with that could be true, right? And I had to do my homework. And one of the things, again, that helped me as well is that I had to get my hands dirty, right? And what I mean, my emotional, my psychological hands dirty, which means if I really wanted to fix this, or start the road to fixing things, I had to come to grips with a lot of things, right? That this was what I experienced, right? And understanding that it did exist, it did happen, and I actually even went to family members and did everybody experience the same thing? They agreed that that's what they saw, or that's what I may have seen, but of course my perspective of it was going to be different because it was my experience.
Were they ashamed to admit it? Do you think they were ashamed?
No, they actually admitted it. They actually admitted that we saw the same thing you saw. They
saw it, but they didn't. But were they ashamed to admit that? I saw it, but I didn't think it was like that.
But see, here's the thing, and it's interesting. Again, when I had the conversation, because I kind of went through something, a mental episode a few years back, and that's when the conversations, not necessarily started, but it kind of reached a certain apex, if you will, because I found myself, because I'm in a marriage, and I thought it was unfair for me to kind of be dealing with some things that were unresolved.
Right.
I have to have my now wife experiencing certain things that I wasn't dealing with. I thought it was just people out in my life, not just, whether my wife, whether it be coworkers or, you know what I'm saying? You never know how somebody else may experience you. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Right? Because, self-love is great, but self-awareness, I think, is also very important, because sometimes you need to know you could be the problem. You could be the actual problem. You have to be honest with that. And it's not in a sense where you might be stealing or compulsive liar or even a compulsive emotionally, psychologically, mentally, right? You could be the issue. Right. You could be creating an atmosphere that's not healthy at all. Right?
So let me ask you a question. You seem like you love your wife a lot. But how were you able to choose such a great wife when you had unresolved issues with your mother?
To understand she was a wife first. We can put any other adjective or attribute on it. She's a person first, right?
Okay.
She's a person first, and and certain things were pretty basic. And when I say that, I mean to say, it kind of goes back to the thing to where you treat people how you want to be treated. Yes. But this kind of goes more in depth, because this is something that you can't really see on surface.
Right.
What energy am I giving off? Right. What am I actually doing? What am I saying? Because, she's, one of the things I love about her, she's very smart, very intelligent, very intuitive. Right.
Right.
So when I have certain conversations, she knows that's whatever I'm saying on surface is not it. It's something underneath.
It was something underneath.
Right. And I was able to meet somebody that was willing to hold me accountable as well. You need to check that. She would say, you need to check that. And also, you can appreciate somebody that's willing to say to you, okay, check this out. At this particular point, this is something, or this is a journey that you need to take. Right. We have our own journey and things that we need to, that we kind of reconcile, or we kind of like go on, I guess, together.
Right.
There's certain aspect of that journey that I need to resolve whatever issue I may have.
Right.
Right. And again, it's actually having the courage and maturity to say, hey, I could be the issue. I could be the problem. A lot of people aren't willing to say that. They'll post scriptures, they'll post quotes, right? And sometimes it could be them. They could be the problem.
Right. So, but that's the thing. Like, you were able to meet somebody because they were a good human being. But okay, and I said, how were you able to meet a wife when your relationship with your mother was unresolved? But then you said, I met a good person first and foremost.
Right.
How was she able? Did she identify your issues before you did? And when she did, why did she continue on?
I knew I had them before I met her.
Oh, okay.
I knew I had them before I met her.
Okay.
But as I got older, they were manifesting themselves in different ways. And I thought I had it under wrap. It's kind of like a functioning, like you said, alcoholic or drug addict.
Right.
Think about it, King. Function trauma nowadays is similar to that. People are functioning trauma addicts.
Mm-hmm.
They wear it like a cloak, right? And they think a lot of things they're doing is part of a culture, whether it be an intimate culture in their house, in their community.
Right.
They think it's a Black thing, even. I'm gonna go as far as to say that. But in all actuality, what it is them acting out unresolved trauma and grief that they haven't dealt with, especially men. You can actually, when I started that journey and doing a lot of my own self-homework, you can even recognize it to a point where.
All right, who's Melanated Simplicity? Can you write in the back chat who you are, because it's your first time and we want to let you up. We want to make sure. We had a lot of trolls yesterday. Thank you. We get a lot of trolls today too.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yesterday was different. All right. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I forgot my thought. I mean, well, like I said, you got to kind of deal with the unresolved trauma. You got to realize that sometimes you could be the problem. You got to start that journey. You know what I'm saying? And and come to grips with certain things to kind of fix it. But there are always going to be certain aspects of it that, because believe it or not, in that whole path, there are going to be some people that's more accustomed to you, in a sense, not working on yourself. They're going to be accustomed to you being a certain way. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be accustomed to you not to always being in a position of misery. And oftentimes people in that position, when they feel they have a certain sense of moral superiority when they're miserable, I'm gonna say it like this, just because you're miserable doesn't make you better than somebody else. It just means you're miserable. A lot of people don't know they're miserable. Right. And like I said, and I've been in situations even recently where I went into a situation, I'm like, that looks familiar. I said to myself, that looks familiar to me. It's not anger is what I'm hearing or feeling. It's something else.
Right.
And I actually asked the question and the whole mood just kind of like changed for the better, I believe. Yeah.
Well, all right. So do you think men that have bad relationships with their mothers or a toxic relationship with their mothers, do you think they need to be married?
It's my opinion that you should work on yourself first. You should resolve that, because you can take that in to your relationship and really mess up something great. It's like walking into a flower bed with dog crap on your shoes.
You said dog crap on your shoes.
You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to be fair in that regard. You want to be fair in that regard. So you don't want to do that. You can bring your energy into that and mess it all up and not know you're doing it. That's the scary part.
Right.
That's the scary part.
And sorry to Melanated Simplicity. We want to let you up on stage, but there's been a lot of trolls up here. We don't know what's going on, and you're not cam. If you were cammed up, definitely we could let you up. But there's a lot of things going on YouTube, and I don't want to lose my channel. And so we just taking extra safety precautions. Thank you. When does the relationship with the mother and their son end?
I don't think it ever ends. What happens is, or what should happen is, it should transition from manager to consultant.
Oh, explain that. That's I get it, but explain that.
But I mean, as excuse me if I use my own personal experience, I mean, because I think you can kind of like parallel it to father and daughter, but it exists with, I think, in mother and child, or whether it be boy or girl, is that you transition, releasing some of that, allow your child to make their own mistakes, explaining things more maturely, creating an environment that's conducive to evolution, not necessarily just change. Because change doesn't always mean for the better.
Right.
For evolution, because that implies a metamorphosis, right? A metamorphosis. I always give the metaphor or the story of the butterfly. When the caterpillar goes into a cocoon, it knows it has to go into a sense of isolation. But how it applies to the story is that you allow it to do that. You allow it to grow, and as it comes out of its cocoon,
right?
The wings are strengthened.
Okay.
In that process, if you open the cocoon too soon, it will never learn to fly because the wings aren't strong enough.
It's not strong enough.
To sustain it. Right. So understanding that, allowing certain processes to take place. I think that's very helpful in that.
We talked about this, like 9 or 10 things that that we should look out for men who have mother issues. Did you ever feel a sense of entitlement?
To a degree, from an affection standpoint.
Why is that?
I wanted it when I wanted it, and
that's how I am too.
I wanted when I wanted, and it wasn't necessarily from a material aspect. I was emancipated at 16, which means I had to financially take care of myself. But I wanted the attention, I wanted the affection, and you know, again, it can manifest itself in many different ways by creating a situation where you get the other person's attention. That's one of the ways as
toxic.
Right. That's toxic. We don't think it is, but it is.
Right.
Making it to the point to where they have to come to you, they have to need you. Right. Versus you just being a contributor to the person's life. Right. So, it can come up, I think we should focus on those ways that we don't think that we are being toxic, because the obvious, the stuff on the surface is obvious, right?
Right.
From a material aspect, things we give, things we take back.
Right.
Right. But there's a lot of other ways that we can do it emotionally, psychologically, just as toxic.
Did you ever feel that, your wife or your lover before your wife was out to hurt you?
Yes.
That's one of the things they talk about in the article. Why?
Well, yes. I mean, my daughter's mom, and I don't want to speak too ill of her. We didn't have the best relationship, and I knew it. I knew within 6 months of meeting her, or actually before we actually met, that she was not. She just needed a lot of work on herself.
Right.
And that's another part of that, is that me thinking I can fix somebody. That could be toxic in a way, because you want to do it your way versus them, in a sense, healing in their own time and their own way.
And it didn't work out.
And it didn't work out. She had her own things that she needed to work on, regardless of me, in a sense.
Was it trauma bonding?
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that. But the thing about it is, I started my journey before she did. I don't think she started her journey in that, understanding what's really happening there. Because what happens is, people in that state, they will build a community of people who's more likely to agree with their narrative.
Right.
Right. They will get people like that, and that's dangerous until they get bit. Right. Until they get bit.
The next thing they said, they also said that people who have mother issues are some of the biggest cheaters.
Well, I can honestly say, and I ain't gotta, lie on myself. I mean, I've been faithful to my wife. Hasn't been easy. I mean, honestly, I'm a man, so no, it has not. Right. But I'm a believer. I follow a lot of the practices, or I follow the practice of Christianity. So that was a great help, because you're gonna come across temptation. You're gonna come across things that can distract you. Right. I mean, that's a given. But it transitions you from a believer to a knower. And I don't want to get off in a. Can
you explain that?
Religious standpoint.
Can you explain that? Because that's a new concept a lot.
Well, but then also, knower, a believer versus a knower is a knower. I would say is one who more so is in pursuit of a relationship with God, versus one who would simply just quote scriptures, because the people they're quoting was actually having a relationship with God. They weren't quoting scriptures from their predecessors. The commonality in what we know as the Bible, which is a totally different, whole nother show. The commonality is that their relationship with God or their creator, right? They had their own names for them. So that helped me out in a lot of my, it was a big help in my journey, and that in a sense gave me the knowing. That relationship gave me a knowing. It's not going to be perfect all the time.
Right.
Sometimes you want to say, well, I did this or I did that. Why not this? Why I don't have this result? But you got to steady the course.
Steady the course.
Right. It's not going to always happen immediately. And sometimes what happens is he will talk to you and things will present themselves to you. But if you don't have the discernment to understand what's happening in front of you, you won't know how to maneuver. So that's all from having that relationship or wanting that relationship. of
Right.
evolving that relationship or wanting an evolution in that relationship.
The other thing they said, that person who has mother issues is disrespectful to women.
Can be.
You don't see, you don't seem like a person that was ever disrespectful to women.
No, I wouldn't say I am. I never was told I am. I would love. I'm an introspective person, and one of my big pet peeves with people is that if you're around me and you see me acting in a way or saying things that's beneath what you believe my character is, then if you don't tell me and you know it, then we got a problem. And I don't, that doesn't mean that I, can be. I have the possibility to be that way, of course. But there are times I may not know it, and when I do, I'm gonna be honest. Depending on the relationship, hey, if I said something, how can I fix it? What can I do at this particular point to make our relationship better? And then there are some situations where I can't do anything about it from the standpoint of how they perceived it. But
Right.
I do allow myself open up for dialogue. In reference to how you may have perceived it, and I ask for that. Allow me to provide context or nuance. Keep in mind too, King, and in this journey, people may not know what it is, and you asking that, they may not know how to articulate what you're asking them either. Because when you and it's a wound basically, and you don't want to open your wound up to everybody and everywhere, right? Because you can't get mad at the wind if he tells your secrets to the trees. You dig? You can't get mad. So you got to be careful in that and understanding of that's not always a good thing. You got to be real careful with
that. Did you avoid conversation because you had a unique situation in regards to mothers? Did you avoid conversations at all about your mother when you were dealing with women?
Not only if it was asked, really. Only if it was asked, and there are certain things that I would say, hey, look, or they were asked, and I would say, well, it's most likely from this. This is what it is. So you recognize that it's there. But the conversations they come about, it's a mix between they either ask because I'm honest and open,
right,
or I'll just volunteer if it seems that they're being inquisitive, right?
Right. It says when you said that you avoid any conversation with about your mother, do you feel like if you did, it was only tell of acts, right? It's like don't say anything unless you were asked. But do you feel like if you had a better relationship, you would be more freely to talk about it, or?
Well, like I said, if I was asked, or if I get the impression that, it was, something, something was churning, like my wife, I'm an open book. I've learned not to be as open with other people, only because I think it's only fair to her. If she asks me, be open with her, just like she's with me. Right. So I only can speak from that aspect. You know what I'm saying? But if I could help somebody, sharing part of my story testimony can help them. Right. Then I'm more than willing to do that. Right. And sharing certain things about my past with them, because if I can help somebody, basically, I'll do what I need to do to help them.
Right. So, you see, I love the way when you talk about your relationship with your wife, because it's not finite. It's like you're still growing with her. Right. Can men have that relationship with their mother? Does it have to be finite? Because I feel like my relationship with my mother is finite, whereas that she's a authoritative person in my life, and that's it. It's that we don't have a growing relationship.
Well, it could be from a cultural standpoint.
Right.
Right. It could be fear based, right? But my thing is, if like, say for example, if you feel you're dealing with something, and you want answers, right? You should be able to get those hands dirty I was telling you about. That's just my opinion. I don't want to speak on the relationship you have with your mom. That's a real sensitive thing, in my opinion. Anybody's relationship with their mother, no matter how small or how big or wide or whatever, that's a real sensitive thing that I can only assume, because again, what I experienced, that it could be fear, it could be something real sensitive, it could be a cultural thing. I know my mom, she was born in the lady I knew as my mom, she was born in the 1920s. My biological mom,
Right.
I really didn't know her I didn't even know her like that.
Right.
To the point to where she would see me on the street and walk right past me.
Wow.
I mean, literally, it was a situation I had when I was 16. I would tell a story. We were walking, she was at one end of the street and I was coming up, and I was trying to get her attention, right? Mm-hmm. And walked right past me. It was my 16th birthday, walked right past me.
Get out of here.
Like I was a ghost, but the woman who last name I have, who I knew as my mother, rest in power, she was born in the 20s. So it was a thing to where I'm the parent, you the child. You're seen, not heard. I tell you what to do, you do it. That's how this works.
Don't worry about it. That's not the real burner account. That's somebody else. Last question, because we're going to end it at 1:30. If there's anything you could have changed between your relationship between the woman you known as your mother, what would it be? And the second question is, what was the most impactful thing that you learned from your relationship with your mother that affected your current relationship with your wife now?
Well, I'm gonna go to the second part first.
Right.
And what I learned from my mother, what I kind of like, whether it be my wife or just any relationship that I've been in, is that what I'm willing to accept. Right? There's certain things I saw my mother do, right? That is, I didn't like it, but again, explaining, the mentality that my mother had, how she viewed. In my opinion, I thought my mother was very gynocratic. I mean, the men around, now that I think about it, everything was happy wife, happy life. Let them have their way. Don't argue with them. She could be running it into the ground.
Right.
But, that's, long as you didn't argue, let them have their ways. You walked around on eggshells because you upset her. It was that whole thing. And I went into my adult relationships, expecting that, and actually in a way wanting that. I know that sounds sadistic or morbid in a way. I was actually expecting that and wanting that, right? Women who act like that, who act domineering and that whole thing. And it was kind of scary, and seeing certain things that my mother did in front of us. Then going back to the house, and I look at my dad, I'm like 12, 13 years old. Right. My mom, unfortunately, she passed when I was 13, right? But I mean, I'm looking at him, I'm like, I didn't know how to feel. I'm like, right. What I just saw, you know what I'm saying? Some of the stuff I saw her do, but she lived within her own realm of hypocrisy and contradiction. Right. For example, she knew the streets, right?
Streets.
Right. She knew the streets. She would get stuff off the back of a truck, but at the same time, we had to pray over before we wore it, before we ate it. You know what I'm saying? Wow. She knew people that ran numbers, right? But she kept the receipts in her Bible.
Right. So it was like a duality.
She was a duality. And church was like, we went all the damn time. I was a deacon at 12.
Wow.
I got ordained by, Baptist convention. I was a deacon, or I was given the title of deacon. I became a deacon at like 12.
Was she going through it?
Again, she was from that generation. You just did what I say. You do what I say, not as I do.
Right. There was no rationale. You just do it.
Right, you just do it. You didn't ask any questions. Very intelligent, in my opinion, woman. Kind of knew her surroundings. I seen grown men that were scared of her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Grown men that was. She carried a pistol in her usher uniform. I mean, come on. I mean, if she came back to life today and died again, I would cry the same way I did probably when she was 10. Nobody messed with us in our neighborhood.
Oh wow.
I mean, it was one of those type of things. A lot of people knew her. She, that type of thing. So, I mean, that was also a good part of it too, because nobody messed with you.
Right.
Kids and adults alike.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But, in reference to my wife, my previous relationships, I would stay in them knowing that they were toxic. Not just, from whatever I was adding, but the other person was just toxic.
Right.
And they knew that I knew that it was toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But I could change them, right? I can love them, and I can love them more. I can, I'm not gonna, because oftentimes when people deal with a lot of childhood trauma, one of the things that come in their mind is that I'm not going to experience, or I'm not going to have my children experience what I experienced.
Yes.
And you're actually gravitating more to that very experience because you haven't done the work on yourself.
Mm. Mm.
You haven't done that work identifying what you saw, what you experienced.
Right. So it's funny that you said that. It's a great way to end the show too, because people are being magnets to trauma and experiences that they exhibit themselves because they haven't done the work. So men who have issues with their mother are going to attract women that bring that type of energy out. And so if you could give, I know I'm taking too much time, but if you could give like 2 or 3 things that you advise men to do who believe they have issues with their mother, what would you advise?
Do the work.
Do the work. What does that mean?
Do the work. Get therapy.
Okay.
Acknowledging and being honest with yourself that there is something there that you need to work on mentally and emotionally, which can affect you emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the first thing, therapy or doing the work. That could be, that has a lot of other, subtext to that. The second thing is having those conversations.
Right.
Being okay with not being okay. Oftentimes in our community, don't talk about that, or you're talking bad about that. There's a difference, and I tell people this all the time. There's a difference between what you experience and how you perceive it.
Mm-hmm.
Judgment and passing judgment are 2 different things. Judgment is like a defense mechanism. It's like that's hot, that's cold, that's bad, that's good. That's what we all do. Now, passing judgment is different, especially when it comes down to people. Passing judgment is when you condemn them for what differentiates you from them. That's different.
That's totally different.
Right? That's totally different. So understanding that on the second part, was it the third one?
It said 2. It's 2 or 3. You only gave me. I need a third one. What are 2 or 3 things?
It's not a destination. It's a journey, right?
Okay.
It's a journey. You're gonna come across some hills, some valleys in that journey. You're gonna come across some streams, some winners in that journey. But I will say this: when you come to a bridge, right? A bridge is for transition. Do not build your house on that bridge. It's for transition. When you come to a bridge in that journey, do not build your house on that bridge. Do not build your house. Keep it. Don't make that your address. Do not make, have a evolution in that. I got to get work. I got to be constant. I got to understand what my triggers are. I got to understand these different things.
Right.
That I think that's a very important part. It's an evolution.
It's evolution.
You're metamorphosizing. Allow yourself to do that. Allow yourself
to that butterfly thing analogy you use.
Allow yourself to be better. Allow yourself to be in a room. It's like it's peace and quiet. There's no drama here.
Right.
Allow yourself to be that.
Right. Right.
Have a cup of coffee or something. Go somewhere by yourself.
That's how I am.
Travel the world like you did.
Yeah, man. Listen, I love
solitude. Read the book, right?
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. With that being said, thank you, Dante Henry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for dropping the jewels. I needed that, especially today because I'm a little bit off because my man's mother, you know what I mean, is passed away. So I appreciate you and I'm grateful for you. And until we meet again, to everybody that supports Conversation with Kings, see you on Monday, and I appreciate y'all. Take care.
All right, peace.
Peace.